What's cooking between Bharat and China? Well, right now we don't know what's cooking. We don't quite know what is cooking. Uh, Ever since the regime change operation that happened in East Pakistan, uh, and of course, also considering what's happening in Burma, the civil war that has been engineered and is currently raging in Burma, this overall situation, which is interconnected, it affects India as well as China, and it has significantly hampered China's plans for the region. And it doesn't make sense for India in the long run to allow the Americans to use us as a pawn on the geopolitical chessboard against China. Now, the Chinese want supremacy in Asia and globally, but they now hopefully understand that they are not going to achieve supremacy because of a number of reasons. First of all, their economy is no longer growing that fast, it's actually not growing well. Secondly, there's a demographic disaster that's pending, it's coming up for China. The total fertility rate has drastically declined. It's around 1 or 1.1, which is a disaster. It's a catastrophe. China is going to get old very rapidly. The average age, the median age of the average person in China is going to rise very rapidly. So China is going to get old before it gets rich. China is kind of on the lower fringes of the middle income nation status. And militarily, it's not that powerful. Sitting here in India, clearly China is way more powerful than India. It's about 3 times or almost 4 times more powerful than India. But compared to the US, China is that much tiny. The Americans, you people don't understand how powerful the US military machine is. They can obliterate China on demand. So China faces this situation. The Americans are squeezing China from every side. The Americans can handle China's economy. The two economies are interdependent upon each other to a large extent. China is encircled. I mean, if you want to look at the map, where's the map? I'll show you the map. In what way is China encircled? Let me show you in what way China is encircled. So here we have China. To the west, to the east of China, we have Japan, which is an American possession. Then you have South Korea, again an American possession. Then you have the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand. All of these nations are kind of pro-US. Even Vietnam these days, considering the bullying the Chinese have been, thrusting upon Vietnam. If the Chinese change their Vietnam policy, the Vietnamese may become more friendly. Then there are military bases like Guam, etc., which encircle China and which allow the Americans to project tremendous amount of power in the region. And then you have this nation called India, Bharat, which the Chinese have unnecessarily antagonized. So China is encircled, completely encircled. And now with the developments in Bangladesh, East Pakistan, and in Burma, China is even further encircled. So that's the situation. So it makes sense for the Chinese to kind of play to 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 make amends with India and cooperate with India, because India doesn't want war with China. India doesn't want a hostile situation with China. So, and yet the situation is that India cannot trust China right now. The way things stand, India is not in a position to trust China at all. The Chinese have played so many games that we won't trust them. So, if India and China were to, let's say, work together in some way, the Chinese will have to convince India that they are worthy of trust. Now, how do you do that? How can the Chinese convince India that they are worthy of being trusted? That India can trust China? There's only one way of doing it: demarcate the border. Demarcate the border. Where's the border? This entire border that we see, India Tibet border, is actually undemarcated. If you are streaming or if you're opening the map from Google Maps from within India, it will show you the Indian version of the map. If you go to other countries and open the map from there, it will show you a different version of the map. It will show Aksai Chin as part of China or kind of with dashed lines and all that. It will even try to claim that Arunachal Pradesh is disputed. That's what Google Maps will do. Even if I click here, it says unavailable, even though Arunachal Pradesh is very much part of India. If I click within Nepal, it will say whatever place, Nepal. but in Arunachal it'll say unavailable. So that's the deal. So the entire border is undemarcated thanks to China. The Chinese have steadfastly refused to demarcate the India-Tibet border. So if China wants Bharat to feel that we can trust China to a certain extent, they have to first demarcate, sit down with India at the negotiating table and rapidly demarcate the border, not just on the map, but also on the ground. Very clear demarcation, no ambiguity, no nonsense. Then things may work going forward. It's gonna be a very lengthy step by step process. Okay. And the Chinese, the onus, if the Chinese want cooperation with India, the onus is entirely on the Chinese for this to work, to make this work. So that's where we are. I don't know what's cooking, what's brewing between India and China. The Chinese seem to be sending certain signals to India. If you look at their social media signals, etc., they are kind of playing nice right now. But I don't know what it could indicate. I think it's early days. Maybe something may be brewing behind scenes, behind closed doors, but I cannot speculate about that. So that's where we are vis-a-vis India and China.